Hi, I hope you're doing well. My name is Jorge if you're new, and sometimes I hate home decor. Okay, I'm being dramatic, but here's what I mean. Some days I really enjoy doing the most, putting this, putting that, rearranging, kind of just filling up a space for the sake of filling it up. Now some days, like today, I'll look at my home decor and I'll be like, get out. I don't want to see you. And okay, I'm being dramatic, but basically, I will sometimes edit down my space and put items in the garage for a while and kind of just have a moment to rest from, visually. And so today I'm sharing two DIY projects, ironically more home decor, but two DIY projects that I think you might enjoy if you're a minimalist or just like simplicity in your home decor. Alright, for this project, let's make some wall art because why not? Why not? We're gonna make some canvas art. We're gonna keep it minimal because I want to stick to just one color, I think. But we're gonna go heavy with the texture, and if you want to do this, do it. Have fun. You can scale this up, you can scale this down, you can copy it if you want, but have fun, alright? I can't believe it's taken me this long to buy a drop cloth for my projects, but here we are. So, this is the canvas that I'm going to be using, just a blank canvas. I think this one's 18 by 24, but you could do any size that you'd like. And I went to the craft store or fabric store and I bought some just thin fabric. I think this is muslin, and I was looking for one that will wrinkle easily. We're going to do like a mixed media art piece, so I'm going to use just to glue it on here, but then we're going to come back and do like some other texture. I'll show you in a moment, and let's hope that this actually works out. If it doesn't, oh well, we'll work with it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wrinkle up the fabric, and ironically I'm using a flat iron to do this, which worked out perfectly, gave me some nice texture. Now I'm going to trim this down so that it fits onto the canvas. There's no wrong way to do this. This is art, it should be fun. I decided to sort of make a square with this, and I just cut a slit and I kind of just ripped it with my hands. Very easy to cut, and I really like sort of the ripped look effect to it. It kind of makes it feel a little bit more handmade, I would say, or something to that matter. And so when I lay it onto the canvas, I'm going to glue it on there just to make sure that it is nice and secure. I'm going to use some all-purpose glue. This is Glue All by Elmer's Glue. No, not the school glue. This is the Glue All. And then I'm just pouring a whole bunch on there, and then just using a brush to just spread it evenly so that the fabric has something nice to hold on to. Next up, let's have a little fun and add some more texture, and to do that I'm going to be using this sculpting medium. If you're not familiar with this stuff, it basically adds a little bit more texture / dimension to your paintings, whether it's acrylic based or oil based. Today I'm doing acrylic based, and then I'm going to use this palette knife to spread it evenly as best I can. Now notice I'm just doing it on just one section of the painting. This will kind of help me create some contrast between textures, both with the fabric one and then sort of just non-textured part of the canvas. Next, I'm going to be taking this wide comb brush that I had laying around. I think it's missing a tooth, but it doesn't matter. And then I'm just going to go in one direction of the painting, and as you can see, this sort of gives me a little bit more contrast with texture. Very, very fun. As I mentioned, I got a 2-pack of canvases, so I thought it'd be fun to make another painting using the extra fabric. This time I'm making sort of like a longer rectangle, again doing the texture technique with the comb, and maybe we'll paint this one a different color and see. Alright, it is the following day, and I went ahead and just let everything dry overnight. Now I did make 2 of them. Since it was a 2-pack of canvas, might as well make 2. The second one is very similar, it's just a little bit different in form, but it's the same thing basically. And so I was thinking maybe we can do something fun here. I will paint one of them like a dark brown, maybe black, and then the other one we can do maybe like a taupe / beige color, and then maybe we can see which one we like best. So this is where you let your mind run wild, let it be free, and see where it's going to take you. Now, I'm going to try my best to explain what I did with color here, although I find it kind of hard. But you could totally do this with any color you like. But here I'm taking some white paint and then some sort of dark brown, which I think it's called amber, and a little bit of yellow to give me the warm undertones. Mix it up together to sort of create a very light, I guess, beige color, I would even say. And then I'm just painting the non-textured part of the canvas. This will sort of serve as the, I guess, base color for the whole canvas. And then we're going to work with that color to create other colors. Now for the textured part, I guess the comb made texture, I went with a little bit of a lighter color. So I just added some white to that paint that I mixed. And also I do want to mention that I am adding a little bit of water. This helps create sort of a lighter consistency just so that it's easier to paint. Once I did that, I moved on to the fabric texture. For the fabric texture, I added a little bit more of that dark brown to create, I guess, a darker beige. And as I painted it, this is sort of what it's looking like. I actually decided to go in and paint the non-textured part a little bit darker. I felt like this would help sort of the painting pop a little bit more, and it definitely does, as you can see here in the footage. Very good move, I would say. To add more dimension, I dabbed in some dark brown and some white onto the fabric part of the painting. As you can see, this added the dimension, some texture. I think it was a good move too. And hey, remember the other painting? Well, I kind of went with various shades of charcoal or gray. Here I'm using some black paint, the dark brown, and some white paint. And then I'm kind of just started with the lightest gray, which in this case is a medium gray. That is going to be used for the center of the painting, which is the fabric part. And then I kind of worked my way to the darkest for the other textures. And I'm not going to explain this again. It's pretty straightforward, just different colors for each texture. I do want to say that since this is a darker painting, it's kind of hard to see the texture depending on the lighting conditions. Now here I have the best lighting, so you can obviously see the texture, but if this were a darker room, you would not see it. But regardless, I do think it looks kind of cool. Let's take a look at the final result and see which one we like best between this painting and the other painting. Excuse me, have you heard of pedestals? Because they're in right now and I'm here for it. If you're not familiar with them, these pedestals are often made out of just all sorts of materials: wood, plaster, stone. Marble is the popular one right now, and I think it's a great addition to any space because you can use it to display something like a vase or a sculpture or some sort of treasure that you have. And if you're not feeling the DIY spirit, no worries, because I did a roundup of other plinths ranked from lowest price to highest price. You might want to check them out, but seriously, these are a great way to kind of elevate the feeling of your space and make it feel a little bit more intentional. I am so pumped for this project because I finally have a table saw, which if you don't have one, no worries, I do have a solution for how you can do this. First, I want to mention that I went to the hardware store and got a piece of NDF board, a 4x8 that I had them cut in half. So now using one of those 4x4 sheets, I essentially cut this down to the dimensions to make a box. Now you can screenshot this if you would like, but I am taking into account the thickness of the board, which is 1/2 inch. You all, I'm so excited for this table saw. I feel like this is going to open up the opportunities for more projects. Now this is my first project on this table saw, so I don't have a long-term review, but I will say I think it's a great $400 one thus far. I will link it below in case you want to check it out, but I do think I am saving money, especially since a pedestal like this can cost hundreds of dollars. I'm both getting a pedestal and a table saw with the same price. Now, if you haven't used one before, do not be intimidated. These are not scary, actually quite simple to use, and there's so many resources online, videos that explain how to use one. Alright, we're here in the garage, and this is pretty much going to be the setup. So I have my two wider boards here, and then the two less wider boards, which ends up making a perfect square. As you can see, I'm going to go ahead and glue these together. As you can see in the corner here, it'll just fit perfectly. I'm going to use my brad nailer to hold it into place since I don't have some clamps right now, and after that is glued up, I'm going to cut a square for the top. That's pretty much it, just a simple box. Now to glue this together, I'm going to use some glue all by Elmer's glue, but you can also use some wood glue. I've just had great success with this, so I just keep using this. I don't have some large clamps, so I'm just going to use my brad nailer just to nail this into place while the glue cures. If you don't have one, no worries, you can use some small nails and the good old hammer. It'll do the trick. And finally, I cut a top for this, which is basically just a perfect square, which is a 12 by 12, again using the wood and my nailer to hold it into place. Next up, it is time to fill in all the holes using some spackling. In this case, I'm using some dry Dex because I had it on hand. This stuff's kind of cool because it's kind of pink, but then once it dries, it turns white. So I'm just using my putty knife to fill in the holes. Nothing too crazy here, but just trying my best to keep this as crisp, as clean as possible. So it doesn't take very long for the spackling to dry, but it was getting dark, so I just left it dry overnight. As you can see, it turned white, so it's ready to be sanded down just to knock off any imperfections, also the corners so it doesn't feel as sharp, and then we're going to move on to the lime wash. I'm using a sanding block to knock off excess texture and just even out any imperfections / get rid of those harsh edges. Now before lime washing, you have to use a special primer. It has to be acrylic based or whatever the company of your lime wash specifies. So I gave it 2 full coats of this, let that fully dry before moving on. Alright, it's a few hours later and I am ready to paint this. The primer has fully dried and I'm going to be using this one. This is actually leftover from my bathroom. And I'm going to use this wide brush to apply it, which this is a lot, I'm sure, easier for larger surfaces, but we're going to work with it. Now the key to applying lime wash is to not be perfect. I know it's kind of hard. You want to maybe paint the full thing, but you kind of have to be messy. I'm no pro at applying lime wash. In fact, I don't know what I'm doing, but just go in random directions and don't go over what you already went before it dries is the rule that I have heard. There's lots of great tutorials out there that show how to apply lime wash, but this is what I'm doing. Okay, so this is what it looks like with the first coat dry. I'm going to do another coat very lightly because I still want to be able to see some of that texture. And that's just what I did, my friends. I gave it another coat. I probably should have sealed it after it dried, but I didn't. Honestly, it's fine. Let's just take a look at the final result, shall we? And there you have it. Those are today's DIYs, which are actually fun to make. Let me know if you have a favorite. Thank you for sticking around to the end of this video. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, all that great stuff. I'm gonna put a playlist of other DIYs that I think you might enjoy if you haven't seen those already. But I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.